Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are starting to understand how weave designing can be done for jacquard fabrics, jacquard weaving. We use images for this purpose. So in this presentation, I will let you understand how we can use these images for our jacquard designing needs. Today we will first talk about how we can decide if we can use the jacquard shading or Dobby shading for a weave design. What are the factors from which we can decide the shading system? After that, we will try to understand how a punch card is punched on by using some simple weave. We will try to understand how the punch card is punched, and we will also see uh, after we are before that we will also see that how Jacquard designing is done uh, by hand in the previous era, and then in the last section we will see how designing can be done in these days. So let's first talk about the repeat size of a design and how we can select the shading system. Here you can see two designs. On the left you can see a blue design. Something seamless repeat is being made over here. You can see over here the blue design, that is seamless irregular pattern is here, and it does not seem it seem continuous without any notion of the repeat. But whatever the design we have, we must make its drawing and draft DID. After we have the DID, we can see that how many number of threads are behaving similarly. So here in this figure we can see that something 16 frames are needed. uh, Similarly, there can be some designs that looks a bigger repeat than maybe they are using 32 ends for a repeat, but they may require only half of the number of frames because they have the pointed draft. So whatever the design you have to make the drawing and draft, and from the drawing and draft you can decide the number of frames, and then from the number of frames we can decide if we are going to use the Dobby system or a Jacquard system. But this is not only the way we decide a fabric if it will be made from the Jacquard weaving. We also have to consider the size of the repeat. So there is another way of finding out if the what will the repeat size. So for any repeat that would be any repeat size that will be made on a drawing draft or a draft paper, we also need to consider the construction of the or the fabric quality for which this design will be made, and from where we can decide the size of the repeat actually on the fabric. So let's see in the next slide. Suppose a fabric construction, as you can see on the right over here. This fabric, let's suppose, is to be made, and we need to decide if this is going to be made from a Dobby fabric or a Jacquard fabric. So another way of doing this is we can look at the fabric or the repeat of the design, and we can see the how much big is the size of this repeat. So one way is using, suppose that we need to produce a fabric that is 40 40 80 80, that is 80 ends per inch. So if we can see that there are 32, this seems to be 32. I suppose 32 ends would be here the repeat size, but the 32 ends is have, because of the pointed draft, it would have a 16 or 15 frames requirement. But these 32 threads, when compared to the 80 ends per inch, would produce a 0.4 inch width of the fabric. So this design, when goes into the fabric of 40 40 80 80, it would produce a 0.44 inch width of number of warps. In the direction of warp, 0.4 inch will be the size of this repeat in the fabric. So we can measure the fabric, and I mean there are two ways of doing this. One is we can find out the what will be the size of the repeat when it goes into the fabric, or the other way around is we know the fabric construction and we measure the repeat in the fabric, and then we can find out if the how many number of threads are there, and then we can decide if it is going to be made from a Dobby or a Jacquard. So I will show you in the next slide uh, what I meant for this. For example, you take an example of this fabric, and this fabric is maybe a Dobby fabric. You can see that the design is repeating after each this stripe. So if we measure the distance between two stripes, including the stripe, it would be something 1.5 inches. And if we have the same fabric quality like in the previous slide 40 40 80 80, for 1.5 inches it is the design repeat. So if we um, see nearly, if we see in more depth, we see that the stripe size is something 3 over 8 inches, and this gray area is something 9 over 8 inches. So in this gray area, we need to produce only a plain fabric that requires only 2 frames. But in this area, maybe a Dobby design that may require a 14 frame, even though the repeat size is only for 30 ends. So this 14 frame over here and 2 frame for the plane, we need something 16 plus frames. Plus means the 16 frame for the body weave, and maybe the other frames for the selvage or other false selvage requirements. So again, for this fabric we required something 16 plus frames. That is only possible with Dobby weaving, Dobby shady system. But this design does not need to be produced on Jacquard. But if we do the same practice for some other fabric, and we find out that the requirement of the threads goes beyond uh, that is 30 frames, 30 number of 30 number of ends, or 30 number of frames. So then we will not use the Dobby shading, but we will use the Jacquard shading. So in the same example taken for you in the next slide, if you look at this geometrical design, and if we know that this black box represent the repeat size of the design, and this the width of this geometrical design is 4 inches, if we suppose. And let's suppose one of these qualities we have to make. Let's suppose we have 40 40 40 40 is the fabric we have to make this design into. Then for 4 inches we would have 160 number of ends that would be producing this design. And if this half would be required, if this is the mirror that is pointed draft is used, still we would require some 80 ends. So 80 ends, or in other 80 frames. So these 80 frames are not possible, so we must produce this design from the Jacquard weaving. Similarly, for other construction, we can find out that we even require more number of ends, or in other words frames, to produce the same design. When the density is higher, we would need more number of ends for the same repeat size. Similarly, if we look into this fabric, fabric number 2, this also has a repeat size is quite large, and this depends upon the dimension. If we consider it is again the 4 inches, so the same thing happen over here. But but sometimes we can just see at the design, and without measuring it we can tell. For example, you can see that there are a lot of changes. For example, here the black color is represented from one weft or warp. Here this one color is presented over here, one over here, one over here, and this repeat size seems to be quite large. Clearly tells us that this cannot be produced on Adobe weaving. And in this, the 3 number fabric is similar example. And let's suppose if this circle is a half is 1 inch, and then the distance between these two is 1 inch again, this 1 inch again, this 1 inch, 1 inch again. And if this is the repeat, this is the 4 inch repeat, and this 4 inch repeat comes into this category again. So, and similarly over here we can see that a lot of changing of the weaves are here, that is not possible with the help of Dobby design. So all these fabrics here, we see when the repeat size visually is beyond in inches, beyond some half inch or 1 inch beyond 1 inch repeat size, it causes us to let us decide for the Jacquard but not the Dobbies. So eh, in these slides, I just told you that one way of conventional way of doing this is to make a drawing a draft, but we can also visually tell that if a fabric needs to be made on jacquard or not by seeing the repeat size, and if repeat size is sufficiently enough large, then we will go for the jacquard shading system, jacquard shading system. Now in the next slide I would like to introduce you how jacquard designing was done in previous era by using hands. So show you a video. Uh, mm, you can see a designer, weaver is weaving by using this hand loom. But this hand loom is installed with the jacquard shading. This jacquard shading was produced by Joseph Murphy Jacquard. This was the person who invented this. In that era, the designing was done on a point paper, and similar to the graph paper of ours. There was a point paper. This point paper was selected very carefully for certain type of designs, and the designer was filling the boxes as per the design. He actually the idea that of the design was converted into the filled boxes of the point paper. Then this was very laborious or a very tedious job. You have to fill very large papers for the complete design. Then this design was sent to the punching machine, where a punching person sits on the machine, and he reads from the left wise, and for the each box that would be, if he has uses the four fingers from the right hand and four fingers from the left hand, or maybe including thumb 10 from one hand and 10 other hand, he would be reading um, 8 to 10 boxes from here, and pressing for the box where he finds the filled color, and he does not punches when he finds it blank, and he continues this pressing by looking and converting by visualizing the presence of a design there or not, then and pressing corresponding pins, and that pins are punching the holes accordingly. Somewhere it is blank and somewhere it continuously punching. Then we feed this uh, cards, a combination of a series of card to the for each wave to our this mechanical jacquard, and this mechanical jacquard then converts this into a lifting of harness. If there is a hole, the hook is if there is a hole, the hook will not be pushed, and if hook is not pushed, it will carry away, it will be lifted up with the help of the lifting mechanism, and corresponding thread warp will be lifted. Otherwise, if there is a blank, there is no hole, it will be it will remain backward, and it will not engage with the lifting mechanism, and the weft will remain downward. So in this I just told you uh, how the designing was done and how the design was transferred into the fabric. Same thing is done these days also, when very complex and very heavy designing is need to be done. The special person can be someone who is not easy, or it may not be preferable to use the CAD system. So the designer makes the design on a paper, and then this paper design may be for example selection of material and colors, and then different region would be highlighted, and then this design would be again converted either for the mechanical jacquard, or electronically we need to convert this design to for the electronic jacquard. So here you can see again the lady is reading out from the paper that was handmade, and this according reading from this, she will be going to punch different cards, and these card will be tied up like this, and it will be presented for our mechanical jacquard to be to cause the lifting for the certain hooks and for the weaving of the jacquard fabric. This slide again summarizes what we see in the previous slide. Here you can see that the designer has made this design, and the designer like the one is the person who creates the pattern or the sketches for that will be converted into the fabric. And after this designer has done this, this design is reaches for the drafter. This drafter transfer the sketches into a point paper, and you can see over here this crown over here is magnified view is being seen over here, and for the very small portion over here the point paper is shown over here. You can see this the for this uh, 12 bobs, these 12 short rows is being punched, and for the next 12 bobs next short row is punched, and similarly other card is punching is done like this, reading from for the same web. For each next group the punching is done or blank is left. So after the drafter has converted into the this into point paper, then a cutter punches the cards as per the point paper, and then it is binded together and the fed to the jacquard weaving machine where it is used for weaving the fabric. So here this slide summarizes the hand uh, hand method of designing and producing the punch card for making the fabric from the jacquard shading mechanism. Dear students, on this slide you can see here there are two portions of the slide. On the left you can see different point papers. These point papers are used by the to used to for the filling of the design. You see that the different number shows the density of vertical and horizontal vertical columns and horizontal rows. Basically the purpose of different type of these papers is to accommodate the difference between warp and weft densities, and these warp and for specific warp and weft density ratio specific type of point paper is used, so that the design that is having certain aspect ratio does not disturb when the fabric is produced, and the aspect ratio on the point paper will keep intact when the fabric will be produced from that. So point paper are selected uh, for to accommodate the difference between the warp and weft densities, and it does not break the aspect ratio after the fabric is produced for different type of difference of warp and weft densities. On the right you can see the example of two punch cards from some certain design. 70 number card and 92 number cards are presented. You can see that there are 8 holes in this one short row, and there are 8 long rows over here. In each long row there are 8 holes can be made. You can see that the big circles are showing the where the card would be punched, and the small circles are representing where it will be left blank. So the size of this card, it depends upon the number of hooks available in the jacquard. Generally the short and the length or number of holes in a short row can be 8, 10, 12 or 16 depending upon the format of the hooks available in the mechanical jacquard. The punch card will be accordingly have the format accordingly, and the its length or size would be of course is such that that will accommodate the 4 hole hooks. So the short rows number of holes in short row can be in some specific pattern 8, 12, 16, but number of short rows in a long row will be depending upon the size of the jacquard. For example, let's suppose we have a view over here. For example, let's suppose we have this is 3 by 1 12 weave. This 3 by 1 12 weave we need to produce with the Jacquard weaving machine. For Jacquard weaving machine, we need to we punch the cards. So what we will do this for the first weft, our design reads one up, one down, two up. So we need to fill this in the whole card. So we start from our first hole that and vertically goes downwards for first 8 warps. Then 16th warp is over here. Sorry, ninth warp is over here and 16th over here. Then 17th over here and 24th over here. And this continue till for the whole card for the complete number of warps, because our weave repeat is divisible by the short number of long rows. So we will see we are seeing a continuity in the whole card. Whatever we see, we can read over here the one up, one down, three up, one down, and two up. So this is again the first card represent like one up, one down, two up, then again one up, then one down, and then two up. For the weft number two up, one down, one up can be the read over here, and similarly the third pick, the three up, one down can be read over here. The last pick is one down and three up, that is one down, three up, one down, three up is over here. So let's see one more example. Here I bring you the example of 5 and 13 weave. You can see over here the first pick will read like 1 up 4 down, so 1 up 4 down, then 1 up 1 2 3 4 down, 1 up 1 2 3 4 down, then 1 up. So your whole card is filled like this. For the second pick we see 2 down, 1 up, 2 down, 2 down, 1 up, 2 down, then again 2 down, 1 up, 2 down, 2 down, 1 up, 2 down, and then 2 up, 2 down, 1 up, 2 down, and whole card is filled like this. Similarly, pick number 3 is copying from here, 4 from here, and 5th from here. So we need 5 cards for 5 webs, and if we install this into the our mechanical jacquard, so we will have this 5 and satin be woven into the fabric. So here I give you an idea that one card is for one weft and how this filling is done. If we have a bigger weave, for example here we can have 200 holes, so we can have up to 200 one repeat size. The jacquard, as the jacquard is larger, the larger will be the number of maximum holes that can be inserted into a card. For example, generally 1200 hooks jacquard is available in mechanical jacquard format, that or maybe bigger, and we need to follow not only the 5 warps but 1200 warps to fill these cards like this for actual weaving process. So with this I complete the our second part, that is how the by hand how jacquard weaving was done by um, using simple hands, not the electronic machines, and how punch card was punched. So now let's see how electronic jacquard designing is done in electronic jacquard shading. So now let's talk about the jacquard shading, how it is done in these days. The key of designing jacquard, weaving jacquard, the designing for jacquard is based on graphics images. Why this is so? Because our computer images are based on pixels. You can see an image when you maximize it, when you see it very closely. Actually, it is combination of small squared colored points. These colored points are called pixels. Each point contain one color, and these colors combined together give us the sense of an imagery of some object. But we can use the same pixels to represent our position of our harness. If the some harness lifting a warp is up or down by just filling the black and white, and then we can see it is like similar to like the punch card there that has a hole or a blank. Similarly, our image can have a black or white to represent a shade is up or down. So this is what happens. You can see over here the graphic image that need to be converted into fabric. Once it is done in electronically converting this design into a format that is readable by our Jacquard weaving machine. So this will be in a black and white format, and each weft information from each weft for each weft is read from the image, and it is fed into this electromagnetic actuators that can cause lifting or lowering of our warp threads, and that's how our design is converted into the fabric. So in this slide, I want to let you understand what different type of images are and how they can be helpful in our Jacquard designing. So images, basically there are a lot of type of images, but raster images are the most basic type of images. They generally are JPEG images, BMP images, PNG images, TIFF images, and there is another category of images that are called vector images. Generally, they are SVG images, WMF images, EPS images. What you can see over here, the same image represented by using a raster image and a vector image. It may have been zoomed in into the, it may be the some magnification over here. That is why you can see a raster image is having a unclear boundary, where the vector, as much as you can make it bigger, magnify it does not break, because our raster image is based on pixels, but our vector image is not based on pixels, but it is the coloring and boundaries and shapes are based on some geometrical formulas, equations, expressions that helps us to maintain some shapes, and the information is not uh, dependent on the pixels points, but actually the dynamically the shapes are calculated, and then they are filled so they does not break. And so vector images are better for geometrical shapes, text, and similar things, but raster images are better for storing a lot of information for very small size, like JPEG images. So vector images are for uh, geometrical shapes and text, and raster images for uh, other information to store into the images. Next, I want to tell that these raster images can be of many types. For example, there can be a monochrome images. When I say monochrome images, you see over here, this is an actual image of a flower. It can be converted into a grayscale, that is, it does not use the different colors, but only the black and white tones, that is from very black to the very white. They can be made different steps, so it is called grayscale. And if we use only black and white to represent this flower, this is called monochrome image. So this is grayscale image. Then we have colored image. Colored image can have different channels. For example, this is an image of flowers. It has a red channel. You can see where the red color is in this image. It is the most white, and the color that is made up of using the red color is with the minimum quantity. You will see that would be the black over here, dark over here, black over here. The orange also use the red colors. You can see that the this butterfly has a bright uh, color in it, white color in it, because of red, more red. Similarly, green is more where the green is here, white is over here. So very less blue over here. Generally, the blue channel, the blue part of this image is generally is black. So we can have single tone images, and we can have channel images. So channel images I showed you just over here. Then we can have images that that make produce the color in the image because of our definition, because of a table. For example, let's suppose this is an image, but actually this is a grid of numbers, and each number can be assigned an in color. So actually this numbered grid becomes a colored image because of this definition. And this definition generally is called indexing or lookup table, LUT. One example is over here. You can see this is a gray image of a hand. And thermal images. Thermal image can be given, for example, temperature between certain amount can be showed in one color, then a range of different temperature should be shown in different color. And similarly, they're like lookup table, like a table over here. So we can see that now the hand that was does not showing information over here is showing that yellow some specific temperature, red something other temperature, and this magenta is very less temperature. If we use less number of details, we see the hand almost in a one color, that is background is less temperature, and hand has more temperature. So here different type of images can be used to illustrate information. So we can use both all of these for different purposes in using Jacquard designing. So in the last slide, I will just tell you how the actually Jacquard designing is done by using images. For example, we can have any information of a design, for example, logo or some writing or something, some graphical images that can be in the form of a vector or a raster image. For example, here I have the university logo, that is a raster image, PNG image. So first step we use is we define the how many colors this image should have. So I define this image to have only 5 colors. So this image now from here to here is a indexed image. You can see the colors are here different. Here colors are different because of definition of these colors. Only this image have these colors. So this is now indexed image. In next step, for each color we assign a weave. That weave itself is a monochrome, that is black and white. So the when we assign each portion of the image, each color with specific weave pattern, that is a monochrome image, this monochrome image will be filled everywhere where some color would be. For example, if we assign this satin weave into the white color, so we can see that the satin is filled all the everywhere in the image where this white color would be. Here you can see that this satin weave is filled over here, and this dark color over here, this 4 number color, is filled with the satin weave, and satin weave is filled over here. So this is our final image that actually will be a monochrome, a BMP image, and this BMP image is fed to the our Jacquard weaving machine that can read from this image line by line, weft by weft, and can make our fabric into this logos design by reading this BMP image. Thank you very much. With this, I finished my today's lecture. That gives you an idea how the repeat sizes helps can be find out and decided if jacquard weaving is required or a Dobby system can work for a fabric manufacturing. Then I gave you an idea how old jacquard designing was done by hand, and in the last I'll show you how images can help us to make design for the jacquard in these days. Thank you very much.